one. That's my voice. Recording in progress. Alrighty. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome aboard. I'm going to go ahead and first welcome you all to our last Q&A session before we fly. I see the trumpets in the chat. Yes, hello, bonjour. I will be your host tonight. I'm Chantel, otherwise known as Sai, otherwise known as Bridge 2 GM, otherwise known as your friendly neighborhood spreadsheet ninja and Discord admin. I'm going to go down the hub here and just do another round of introducing our staff members. You know us all probably by now, but
we do have new faces.
we do have new faces, and so we want to make sure everybody that maybe has missed previous recordings, gets the tour as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just go down my list, and that means I'm picking on Casey first.
Me first. Hi everyone, I'm Casey. I am the assistant director here for Outbound Hope, and amongst various other things, I'm also the bridge and drones, or as we call it, Gold Team GM. So odds are that if you are in the military and not specialized in engineering or medical, I am your GM.
Thank you, Casey. Going right down the list. If you don't know him by now, the one, the only, the Alex Richmond. Alex, bonjour.
Hi, all. I'm Alex, him. I am the event director, wearing a few other hats this year because we have had a couple little staff changes behind the scenes. But from a GM perspective, I'm running, let's see, CivGov, press, security, helping out a little bit with Sally Ride. I think that's it. That might be it for now. But yeah, and also nod to Chantel because we got the actual space janitor outfits on this evening. So
Thank you very much, Alex.
Show him the
Appreciate the nod.
show him the patch. Show him the patch.
Oh, yes,
I
Alex
do,
has
I
our
do, I do
super
love the
classy
patch.
GM patch,
I
and
do.
I don't have
So
mine yet. It has to be attached, but I do have my non-compliant rank pins that are very, very super important. Um, Moving down, one of our new faces is the next one on my list. Hi, Ryan. If you want to take a second, go ahead and introduce yourself. We're so happy to have you aboard.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan McCormack, he, him. I'm the NPC coordinator and general gopher for the team. Just the kind of, if anything needs doing and somebody needs help, that's what I'm here for. So I'll be coordinating the NPCs, making sure everything runs smoothly behind the scenes.
Fabulous. Thank you, Ryan. Welcome aboard. Next, returning GM, Jenica, the mother of gears. You may know her
Hey.
from such LARPs as Outbound Hope 2019.
Yeah. Hi, I am Jenica. I'm running engineering this year. And I am just giddy that we get to do it again, even if I'm a little alarmed by the fact that you all seem to think this is happening in a month. And I am rocking the wrong ship.
Still,
the different ship, not convinced it's the
other
wrong ship.
The other ship.
thank you, Jenica. Let's see. Michael, I've got you here next. Mike, if you want to say hi real quick.
Good evening. I'm Mike. I'm your event coordinator, and I'm just kind of handling some of the background logistics.
We'll see you in one of these, but in yellow in a few very short weeks.
Absolutely.
And Jonathan, did you want to go ahead and say hi too, since we're here?
I hadn't planned to. Anyway, hi, I'm
Tough.
Jonathan. I'm with the Windfall team. I'm handling a lot of the fiscal, legal, logistically type things. Event.
And I do see a couple other friendly faces here. I think I'm gonna pick on Jared real quick because I think there's 6 people in this call that are very, very excited to see your face.
Hi, I'm excited to be here. Just coming on board to GM the Sally ride. Let's do this.
Thanks for joining us. And I think that is just flipping through this chat, try to keep everything on one screen.
I see one more.
Please, Alex, safety.
He's hiding. Stop our software director. I'm not sure what is your official title? Oh, you're muted there.
Anybody?
Don't worry, everyone. Our tech is in very good hands.
Am I
There he
unmuted
is.
now? There we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I have a few things running on my screen. Yeah, I'm Stoff. I heard so many great things about the first time this happened, and have a lot of people that are close to me that have couldn't stop saying enough good things. So I couldn't wait to be involved. And Jonathan thought that maybe I could do some software stuff. So I'm putting together your whole network and software situation.
And that is a very heavy lift. So
It's a
we are
big job.
super appreciative.
Thank you very much, Stoff and Alex, for the save. Why don't we go ahead and get the show on the road? I know you've got some fun stuff you've been working hard on that you want to show us before we go down the rabbit hole of all our players' questions.
Yeah, so we know you guys have some great questions. We've been taking a peek at them all day. One of the things that we've been getting a whole lot of asks about is just the general overall layout of the event. So one of the things that I figured we would start with today would be to just go through the lay of the land, both the Edson itself and also the surrounding area, because Outbound this year is bigger than just the Edson. So I will move through this as quickly as I can. If you continue to have any questions, specifically as they relate to the layout that we're about to talk about, go ahead and throw that in chat. And Chantal, if you could just keep an eye on that and interrupt me as needed. Once we get to the layout is now it's available as a graphic on the Outbound Hope Mission website. So if you go to the website and it's under this year's event, it'll pop up there as I think it's 2026 layout or something like that. So let's go through. First of all, just thinking big picture. Like I said, the Edson is not our only space this year. We are also utilizing some spaces at the mall that is only about 5 minutes away. It's very, very close. If ever you are on the Edson or on the Flame, on the Sally, on the Sandage, whatever, and you need to get to that mall space, we will shuttle you over. That's not going to be an issue. But you can see that everything's pretty tight. So we do have some cool options because we can now stretch our legs a little bit across Bay City. So Edson is the purple down at the bottom. Mall space is up in the top corner. But you can kind of see that across that big parking lot, in fact, I can even zoom into this a little bit. Across that big parking lot is where the Quality Inn is. So our partner hotel is right there, very close to the Edson, also very close to that mall space. So one of the things that we've said ad nauseum, and we will continue to say, in fact, you're going to be getting a big packet in the next week or two that'll have all this kind of stuff in it about what we do on day one. You're going to meet us at the mall. You're going to want to use that entrance that the orange is pointing to there because we're right there. The storefronts that we've rented for this particular event are just through that door. So we will meet up there. Those of you who are staying at the hotel, it's literally just walking across that parking lot. Those of you who are coming from other places and plan on staying on the ship, just meet us right at the mall. And again, we'll get into this a little bit more later, but we'll bring all your luggage over and whatnot. So don't worry too much. I see a couple people in the chat are looking for that. Oh, looks like we've already figured it out. So just keep all this in mind as we're going through stuff. And then with the Saginaw Valley Naval Ship Museum in general, which is the museum that's associated with the Edson, this is sort of their lay of the land. You can kind of see it looks like it's just a road. There's actually a lot of parking all along that. You're going to want to park over where that entrance is by the orange and the green. Don't park over there in the purple. That's the marina. That's separate. But again, all of this will be talked about later.
You'll probably want to park close to the ship anyway, so do that.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Um, so that's just the general lay of the land as far as where we are in and around Bay City. But then we get to the Edson itself. So if you've done any reading up on the Edson, it's a fantastic ship. She's a Cold War era Forrest Sherman class destroyer. She played a big role in some of the stuff that was going on in and around Vietnam during the Vietnam conflict. And it's just a really cool piece of history, and we absolutely love utilizing this ship, working with the people who are there. They're fantastic people. So a little bit about the ship itself. Um, when you get there, this is what you will see. So if you haven't been there, if you weren't with us in 2019, this is what you'll see. You're gonna basically go through that gate, and then down that little kind of like a little wooden walkway sort of thing, and then up that somewhat intimidating staircase for some people. If you're not a big fan of heights, this will probably be the hardest part of the entire weekend for you, is just going up those stairs. But trust me, we've all had that moment, and we can help you out. The cool thing about the Edson is we designed the Flame of Liberty, originally the Ascendant Dawn, so that the Edson fits inside of our ship model. So the ship itself is very much supposed to be representative of actual physical space as it's being used. When you get up there and you finally get up that awful ramp, there's going to be two doors that are going to be available to you. And they're both going to be on the main deck. So the main deck is this chunk of the ship, this level of the ship that's off the deck. It's the main deck. It's all enclosed. You won't have to go outside once you're in. And you're going to go in from this door if you're going in out of character. So that door that's right there, anyone who played in 2019, that was the only door that we utilized. This year, that is only the out of character door. If you're going in character, you're actually going to walk around, and you'll probably have a GM with you if you're going in character. You're going to walk around. There's a separate door where we're going to set up an airlock over there. So it's going to be a little bit different. So if you've got to get off the ship, you've got to go make a phone call, you've got to go run to the bathroom, whatever, go out through the out of character door. If you're going out in character because you're hopping out a shuttle and you're going over to one of the Olympic ships or something like that, you're going to go out the airlock on the other side. Does that make sense? Little bit of a change from last year. So again, this is the main deck. Above that, you're going to have what's called the first level. Some of you are going to spend a whole lot of time on that first level, and some of you are going to spend even more time up on the second level because that's where the bridge and the CIC is. Now, below the main deck, you have the first platform and technically also the second platform. We don't get too much into the second platform. But as far as how this is set up overall, you've got main deck and then first, second level, and then first, second platform. And that'll be helpful when you take a look at this. So this is the big fancy colorful graphic that you can now find online. You should be able to zoom in. I've got a pretty big version of it that's available on the website right now. But this is how we are all laid out. Let me just switch over here just a little bit. So, what I had mentioned earlier about there being two ways into the ship, pink arrow, that's again your out of character entrance. That's the one that many of you are most familiar with if you were with us in 2019. But the actual airlock is going to be around the corner over there where it says 14. So 14 will be this little setup where you'll actually have to you'll have to go past security and all that kind of stuff. It'll be a whole RP thing. Security is going to be over there in 13. In fact, this is sort of their little neck of the woods over here. So the security folks will have a setup there. They're also going to have a setup over at 10, which is where the brig is. So the brig will have 4 different cells. Yes, you can be locked in there. Yes, you can try and escape, but there are things that will prevent you from doing so. It'll be a whole big fun thing. 11, that's one of the ship's actual turrets. We will probably use that for some stuff, especially related to the engineers. 12 right there, that's going to be the ICU. So this is going to be like some hospital beds and whatnot, because as you move basically to the right hand side of the screen, which would be towards the bow or the front of the ship, we start getting into what really like medical country here. 16 there, that's going to be the primary therapist's office. So we'll have a little setup in there. 18 is the actual med bay though. So that's where you'll find the bio bed. That's where you'll find a lot of the triage kind of stuff. So essentially, if you're hurt, sick, wounded, whatever, you're going to go to 18 first. At 21, we've got an actual surgery bay all set up, which is really, really cool. That's where the famous alien autopsy happened in 2019. For 15, or yeah, 15, 17, 19, and 20, those are some of the staterooms. I can only see this much of the screen at the moment. But if you take a look at the numbers there, you'll see who's there. We tried to be as strategic as possible about what people were getting those rooms, and it had more to do with how much role play and gameplay we could get out of those spaces more than anything else. So if you don't have your own private room throughout this whole thing, that's not a, you know, it's not anything about you specifically. It's just, your overall role, excuse me. Um, the end of that hallway is one of the GM spaces that's really the NPC restroom. So those of you who are NPCing, that's going to be kind of your downtime area. That's where you'll kind of coordinate and talk about new plots and whatnot. The big pink area that you see over by 14, over by the airlock, that's the actual staging room. So that's where we'll keep a lot of the costumery and get people ready, because it's much easier to access that airlock from over there.
And
Now,
Alex, I'm just going to interrupt you because
Yeah.
Casey's got his hand up.
sure, I can't
Yeah.
see anymore because I'm
No, you're
Doing
fine.
my job.
To clarify, what Alex marked as a restroom is not a lavatory. It is a
yeah,
downtime room.
relax room.
Yep.
We'll change that name. That is a bad name. That's my
Totally
fault.
fine.
Actual rest.
22 is a bit of a quarantine room for various sciencey kind of things. 23 is also a pretty big deal because that's the mess hall. So that's where it's really a big open room for some of the time, and other times it's just a big dining hall kind of thing. That kitchen space we are going to keep off limits to players, but this is probably the most important GM space for you to know about because in that kitchen area, galley area, that'll be where our player care specialist is always located. So if ever you need anything from a band-aid to a emergency evacuation, whatever, go there first. That's where the medic's going to be. That's where we'll have constant snacks. It's also going to be hopefully one of the places that we have water coolers. So we will always have access to water. Do not drink the water that's on the ship coming out of the pipes. Make sure it comes out of the water coolers. Also in that area over where 24 is, we'll have like a little bit of a media lounge. So we'll hopefully have a couple screens that will tie into the overall broadcast system where the press folks will be displaying their videos for everybody. Speaking of those press folks, 25, that's the press room. So they'll have a little designated area where a lot of their tech will be located. It's kind of their little home base. 26, just ahead of that, that will be the civilian comms room. So the civilian government will be able to communicate with some of the other ships in the bridge from 26. Again, speaking of government, 27 and 28, that's their neck of the woods. So 27 is the CivGov stateroom. It's pretty big. There's a huge table in there, like a big conference table. There's a nice little couch. And that's also where they'll have various screens where they can take a look at overall fleet morale and ship status and all that fun stuff. 28 is another stateroom. I think that one's specifically for colonial security
I
direct.
think you're right. And we've got a great question in the chat while we're talking about staterooms. Alex,
Yep.
there is a question from Tom, are we too cheap for the boat? Where are staterooms in game spaces? Or
Where are they?
are they?
Oh, are they in game spaces? Yes, they are. They are. You will have the ability to mark certain cabinets and things like that as like, I don't want people touching my stuff and I'm going to keep medication in here or whatever. That's fine. In fact, if you want to bring your own lock, you're more than welcome to. But the staterooms are meant to be in character spaces because a lot of the times the people who we gave those staterooms to are, somebody who's going to need that like I
Role
need
play
my own
space.
space so I can talk to this person and have that role space. Yeah, role play space. Yep.
Fabulous. Thanks, Alex.
Yep. All right, so we're gonna go up the ladder that's right over by 26. We'll go up and then we'll go down. If we go up by 26, that's gonna take us up to level one. A lot of stuff going on in level one, primarily with 4 and 5, which was the old communication room in 2019. That's now going to be the drone suite. So all of the drone players will go there to plug in and send out their little robot babies. 6 is going to be our briefing room. So that'll be a little bit of a setup where officers can meet with whoever they need to. We'll have some cool screens in there. We've got a big light up whiteboard. 7 is going to be the quarters. 7 and 8 rather are the quarters of the Attorney General. So the Attorney General is the highest ranked civilian government member on the ship. So they get the nice room that's at 7, or excuse me, 8 and 9. Sorry, 8 and 9. 7, I'm incorrect there. 7 is actually the captain's quarters. So the captain also gets a fairly sizable room right there on level 1. Moving up that ladder, it takes us over to level 2. Level 2 is basically the bridge and the CIC. So you have the bridge bowward, and you have the CIC towards the stern. That room that's there, number 2, that's the XO's quarters. So they get their own little spot. And then across the hallway from that, you'll see that there's that GM icon. This is actually where the brain of a lot of the software is going to be coming from in terms of like managing the bridge and managing a lot of the stuff that's going on down there. So between that room and then the other room that's over there in 27, that's really where you're going to find a lot of the GMs kind of shuffling in and out. So if ever you need to find us, that's not a bad place to start. So, if we then take the ladder down, we'll end up in first platform. This is where you're going to see a lot of berthing areas. So in 40, this is where you're going to see some crew and pilot berthing. 39 will be a lot of, especially the press, but other civilians as well. 41 and 42, those are some minister spaces as well as the corporate liaisons. These are two to a room. Some of the staterooms are not one person, they're two to a room, and it is always marked in the numbers there. 43 is a lot of fun. 43 is our civilian bar. I'm not sure if Ben is still here with us because I know he was driving, but Ben is a GM that we've brought aboard specifically for that downtime. So he'll help to facilitate a lot of stuff going on in the bar, but also around the ship. So if you have time off, if it's not your shift, you're not having to pilot or fix stuff or whatever, if you want something to do, go to the bar, talk to Ben, see what can happen. 44 is going to be another one of those turret areas, which it's cool, but I mean, we don't actually use it. Like the gunners aren't going to be forced to be down there. They'll be up in the CIC. 45 is our big cargo bay, excuse me. And then 46, we'll hit a door. And this is going to be docking hatch B, because if you go beyond that docking hatch, this is where you'll find the Sally Ride. So everything past that wall, we're going to a different ship. It's no longer the Flame of Liberty. That is now the Sally Ride. So Sally folks, to get back aboard the Flame, you're going to have to enter through the cargo bay, and you'll have to go through the cargo bay to get back on your ship later. Switching over to the other side of first platform, because no, you cannot go from here to here. You have to go from here up, over, down. Actually, you have to come down all the way over here. This over at 36 and 37, that's the engine room. So this is where you'll see a lot of the fun stuff happening in engineering. I know it looks like it's big and empty. It is not. It is wild. It is crazy. There are gears and pipes and all sorts of fun stuff in there. It's one of staff's favorite spaces. Like we've we've had a lot of really good brainstorming sessions in the guts of the Edson. 35 is going to be a little bit of a workshop for the engineers and kind of just a lounge, quiet area, place to rest. 34 is another very heavy berthing area, and I think that's kind of anybody that we haven't hit on yet. So security is down there in 34. Mars will have a space in 34.
Engineering,
Um,
medical, I think, are
yep,
down there.
yep, engineering and medical as well. 33, 32, 31, you have now entered Marine Land. So 33 is going to be their berthing area. 32, we actually plan on having a gun range set up. So there's going to be like a fun little mini game where the Marines can challenge each other and also work on their skills. 31 is going to be their armory area, and then 30 is another one of those turrets. Now, same thing with the other side. As soon as you go past 29, you are no longer on the Flame of Liberty. You're now on the Allen Sandage. So you're now part of that Martian ship. So with both of these subships, if those doors are ever closed, keep them closed because what's beyond them is now basically an atmospheric void. Because as far as role play goes, if that door is closed and they have undocked, they are now out there, they are now independent, they are now doing their own thing. So I know that was a lot. And I know most of you are going to retain about 20% of that, and that's perfectly fine. We will have these maps available at game. I'm going to have these printed up on some big posters, so you'll be able to find your way around pretty easy. But it's one of those things where after you've had an hour or two to really get used to it, the ship becomes pretty easy to manage. I know it gets a little weird with the going between levels and whatnot, especially when it comes to first platform. But eventually it'll be home away from home. So, ta-da.
I just want to add in here that each team will be getting a tour from their GM upon boarding the ship for the first time. Right now, we have it scheduled out so that you'll be shown all of the areas that are least important to your play group, ending with the areas that are most important because you can spend the most time in those prior to launch. So you will have a chance to walk through prior to the real start of game and ask questions and kind of get your feet wet.
And for some people, there's always the temptation of like, well, I'm CivGov, I should only be in the CivGov area. No, that's just your home base. Feel free to explore, feel free to go and talk to other people. Hey, what are you guys doing? I mean, maybe don't do that in the middle of a firefight, but it's an incredible space. Like we use this space for a reason. Definitely utilize it. Like go explore, go find stuff. I see in the chat, Jocelyn asked, I think it was Joss, asked where are the restrooms. Anything that's in green, that's a restroom. So for what that means is that there's a tiny little restroom over here in the middle of all these staterooms. But most of the restrooms are going to be down on first platform. There's two big ones down here, back by engineering. There's also two, well, there's one that's big and there's one that's kind of smaller over by the civilian bar and a lot of this berthing area. The only the only people who really aren't anywhere near a bathroom for their berthing spaces are the captain, the attorney general, and then the XO over here. They have a little bit of a walk in order to get to a bathroom. There are no bathrooms that are there. If you weren't with us in 2019, we didn't have any bathrooms available on ship in that year, and everybody had to take a hike all the way back down.
Ashore.
Oh, it was a whole big thing. So the fact that we are slated to have access to all this bathroom stuff is fantastic. You can utilize the sinks. Again, just don't drink the water. You can utilize the sinks. The bathrooms are there. There are showers. The thing to keep in mind with the showers is that the hot water tanks are relatively small, so be strategic about it. When you're going to be showering and who else is potentially going to be showering around you. I know we have a tremendous number of people who are actually utilizing that hotel option, which is great. And for those people, we'll definitely have the shuttle going back and forth. So,
You gotta,
Another quick note just for the Sally Ride people, you do have a restroom that is part of your ship area.
You do.
I believe last time I was there, they were working on getting it fully functional, so we expect it to be fully functional by game on.
Yep. And that's actually really cool because if you really want that whole immersion of like we're going to be out there the entire shift, do it up. You have no reason to. We'll send out some notes about, what if we're in the middle of something and I really need to go? That's fine. Go to the bathroom, do your thing. You are the priority. But generally, for those two subships, if the doors are closed, then they're off doing their own thing. So.
We had a couple questions from chat, if you don't mind me jumping in here. The first one is from one of our NPCs, Grace. Grace, thanks, first of all, for volunteering to help us out. But Grace is wondering where the NPCs will be sleeping on the ship.
Yep, it's a fantastic question. It's one we're working on. We're trying to keep you all as close together as we possibly can. One of the things that we're trying to get a sense of is how many people are actually utilizing the ship and how many people are going to be at the hotel. Once we have that information, we'll have a better idea of what spaces are available. But that's not to say that there's any concern that we wouldn't have a space for you because we definitely do. We just want to know the general lay of land before we assign where the NPCs are going to be.
Fabulous.
And for those of you who are staying aboard, we will always have at least a couple GMs who are staying on the ship with you. Some of the staff do go back to the hotel because we need to. But we always have GMs who stay aboard for the entire night, and you can always find them in that GM space that's over next to 20 there. And this again is all going to be regurgitated in the big packet that you'll get before.
And the tour and the tutorials and
Oh yes.
all that good stuff.
And anytime you want to ask.
That's true. So the next question is about subship crews. We answered half of this. Obviously, the Sally Ride crew does not need to go out of character to use the restroom because they've got their own. But I guess this is more for the Alan Standage. Do they need to go out of character to use the restroom?
That is entirely up to you. I would say generally you're not going to want to make the other, like the entire rest of the crew also go out of character so that you can go. And if that's the case, just kind of dismiss yourself quietly, pop the door, head out there, close the door behind you, go do your thing, come back. Nobody's going to say boo. One of the things that we do want to emphasize is that bathrooms are out of character spaces. You don't need to be engaging people. You don't need to be carrying on in-character conversations in the bathrooms. I know that was a big thing in Discord a couple days ago, where a couple people were asking about that. But it's one of the places where people can just have a human moment. Speaking of, I just need to have some time to breathe. We will have some chairs and stuff set up outside on the deck. And there is a canopy that's there. So if you really just need to, like, I need to get out of character for a minute. I need to clear my head. I need a breath, whatever. Definitely make sure that you're utilizing some of that outdoor space because it'll be completely open to you. Just be really careful because if it's wet, it does get slippery out there.
Yes, that's true. That is a truth.
Hopefully we're not dealing with ice, but who knows at this point.
One from Jocelyn. We don't have anyone in the Mars pit this year. That is true.
It's true, and it's
So-
a little bit disappointing. Casey, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you've been talking a lot. I wanted to give you a break, but um,
The
yeah, they
teacher
took the
in me,
Mars
just
pit away
kidding.
from us. We had a administrative change for the folks who run the museum, and they have moved many of their offices down into the Mars pit. There are some spaces down there. For those of you who don't know, the Mars pit happens to be a well at the center of the ship that goes directly down to the compass. Um, we used it as the Martian ship the first year.
It's the
But
ladder
we
near 23. And then Alex, if you can move the map a little bit, it
but
takes
yeah,
you
we
down into 38 is what was formerly the Mars pit, I believe.
Mhm.
yeah, we unfortunately just don't have access to the space. So outside of maybe a couple of things that GMs might do that are, tricky or whatever, but not much we can do there.
Yep. All right. For the sake of time, we want to tackle those questions.
Yep. I'm just actually checking on a couple more in the chat before we flip over to the Discord.
Okay.
We have Ryan wondering what we can expect maybe for on-ship temperatures in
No
4 weeks
idea.
from now.
I wish we had solid answers. We don't. I would expect the temperatures on the ship will probably be slightly cooler than the air temperature outside, only because the water temperature will still be a little bit cooler. It's going to take the water longer to heat up, and the water is kind of calling all the shots as far as this thing goes. Unfortunately, the way that these vessels are set up, they act like giant radiators. So they cool things when it's cold out and they warm things when it's warm out. Um, I would imagine you're probably looking at maybe 60s. Um, but I hesitate to put a number on it because we just don't know. I would strongly encourage people to bring an underlayer or two, and then you can always shed layers, roll your flight suit
Ladies
down if
up.
you need to.
Yep.
Uh,
Um,
Also, I just wanted to say gloves are also a really good idea. If the water is colder than the air and you touch the metal will rob your body of all of its heat very quickly. So gloves are a good idea when you're going up and down ladders, 25 times a day.
another truth.
But will it be anything like it was in 2019? Dear God, I hope not. I can't imagine that it will be. It was unbearably cold in 2019, but we also were in the middle of an unseasonable blizzard, and so hopefully we will not see that again.
It was the whole time. The whole thing. Yes, folks sleeping on the ship will park in the aforementioned parking lot, and your cars can stay there, and they're totally fine. Where is luggage stored on the ship, and should we be minimizing what we bring on board?
Where is it going to be stored? That's a conversation that we still need to have with the production team. But we they're right over there. We have tags for everything. We'll make sure everything gets labeled, so you'll have it absolutely. But that's a specific that we are still hashing out.
Fabulous. Okay. The chat has toggled over to chatting, so I'm going to now pull up the questions from the Discord. Please
Fantastic.
stand by. Loading. Here we go. Here we go. There have been a number of general questions about what kind of bedding to bring for the ship and whether we figured anything out about, buying bedding there and then having somewhere to donate it to after the fact. Bedding, blankets.
Oh, you just betting.
Bedding.
Yes, you're going to want to bring your own bedding. If it's not something that you want to bring on a plane, there is both a Walmart and a Marshalls that are right next door to the mall. Walmart being across the road and Marshalls being right in the mall directly across from where we're going to be when we're there.
That
As
is
far as
provided, so what you want is going to depend on what you want. You might be happy with a sleeping bag and a pillow. You might be a fitted sheet, blankie kind of person. That's up to you.
I will tell you, if you're a fitted sheet kind of person, you're kind of out of luck because these are very like narrow mattresses. They're certainly not a full twin. Um, So they're a little bit harder to find fitted sheets for, but some people will get something bigger and then kind of wrap it around so it's at least a little bit tighter. Jenica, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say, in the chat, Tom just said the correct answer, which is you really just want a flat sheet. You want a flat sheet that you can wrap the mattress in.
Yep.
Fabulous. So, donations. Did we figure anything out about where to donate sleeping bags? Not yet.
I could
In
add
progress.
that to my
Nope.
list.
I'm certain we can find somewhere that would
Yeah.
happily take
Take them.
Yep.
And then the next part of this question, I'm going to go ahead and steal. What can we bring into the rooms to host people, electric kettles and props and things? Like Alex mentioned earlier, as far as electricity, we're going to be really strapped running the number of machines and computers and things that we need to run in the first place. So we would ask that you not bring your own kettle, toaster oven, shawarma roaster, etc. Please keep it to non-electronic items. If you want to decorate, feel free. But again, we're trying to keep food items really primarily to the mess hall. So decor and cozy is probably the direction you're going to want to go rather than nosh per se.
Things like phone chargers and whatnot. If you're going to utilize them, then I would strongly recommend using that like only at night when we're not having to run 50 computers elsewhere on the ship. This thing was built during the Cold War. It was not built during the time of everybody's got a cell phone. So we the power is always one of those very touchy kind of things, and we wish that it was not the case, but it definitely is. Best idea easily for those of you who, you have something that you do need to plug in, get one of those little power blocks. They're not that expensive. And depending on something like that, more than am I going to have an outlet right next to my bed is probably your better bet. Because chances are, if you're in standard berthing, you might not be within 40 feet of an outlet. So.
So
Yeah,
thank you, Alex.
the ship still runs on fuses, just to give everybody an idea of what we're working with. And if we blow one of those, then the weekend gets significantly worse. So we are going to be relatively strict on people plugging in things.
Not that we haven't blown fuses, because we have.
Yeah, we have.
Alrighty. The next one is a question about Horizons and whether we will have access to personal copies of the Outbound Hope modded version of Horizons. I know the answer to that one, and it is unfortunately no, gang. We're going to be working on that probably right up until we do tutorials, making improvements and getting everything really set in there for our playtime that is coming up. It's also not the easiest thing to distribute. So come join us for the adventure. And that is the adventure lives on the ship. So
Stop is smiling and nodding right now, and I appreciate that. I think what that does speak to is the fact that I say we, I haven't done any of it. Staff has done a tremendous amount of work to really make this software our own. Everything from adding in, our ships and things like that to our story and our systems and how they all function. So it is something that is very different from the vanilla version. Like there's parts of it that are similar, but it's going to be a really cool thing that we'll be able to utilize in successive years, ideally. So, do we have that available this year? No. Will we in the future? That's a goal, absolutely. Do not worry about like I have to be an absolute hotshot pilot because my character's sheet says that I am. That is not a concern that you should have. We will give you all the tutorials and the training that you need once we get there, and we will run from that. I mean, if you need some help behind the scenes to make you that hotshot pilot, I mean, we can make those kinds of things happen. The goal is that you come here and that you have fun and you're able to play out a character, not that you're able to play a video game well.
Stoff once said in the middle of developing this, he has to keep reminding himself that this is a simulation, not a video game. And as such, it is relatively straightforward. So don't worry about it. It's not that complicated.
um speaking about worrying about it, we do have a couple questions, the follow-up questions to this in chat, asking what the watch stations are going to be for the bridge crew or what that's gonna look like.
So just to clarify, by watch stations, like what stations will we have available during like gameplay? Like what does the full contingent of the bridge crew look like?
Watching chat to see if they can clarify.
Shifts.
The question is
Ships.
about shifts,
Yeah,
like
I
what the
think they're
shift
talking.
rotation is going to be. Job description for each crew member.
Job description for each crew member is a
That
lot.
should
Um,
be the bottom of the second page of your character sheet.
yep.
But I think
Um,
they're more asking, how are shifts working? Are we doing a 24-hour game kind of?
Gotcha. So we're not going to do a 24-hour game. It's game on at 9 a.m., game off at 11. You can feel free to soft RP between those, but you will not have GM support, so don't go doing the things that you should do, and it's actually game on. As for the shifts, we are still hammering that out internally. just to make sure that everybody has an equal opportunity. Right now, the game is kind of broken into different chunks, 4-hour chunks. And so right now we're looking at two different shifts, with one shift on, one shift off. And then if you're part of the shift work, then during your off duty is when you get to pursue your personal plots, or what we call the B plots, the plots that kind of emerge inside the ship that don't demand the full attention of the crew. Um, so you would, if you were shift A versus shift B, then on Friday morning it would be shift A for the morning, shift B for midday, shift A again for the third act, and then on the following day it would be BAB. So everybody's going to get the same amount of play time, and we're going to make sure that all of those acts are as interesting to participate as the other ones. FOMO is always a thing, but yeah, we are finalizing exactly what that looks like, but we'll let you know as soon as we have it.
Yeah, and the reason for this did evolve out of 2019, where I mean, we had almost everybody on all the time in 2019, and there were a lot of people who felt like they missed out because they couldn't go around, they couldn't explore, they couldn't talk to other people as much as they might want to. So the shift schedule really does try and loosen things up, give you more experiences, more stuff to do because you do have that freedom. Now, if you're one of those big officers, like Captain McGuire, you're kind of on all the time, but how much on you are is really judged by how well you're also delegating. So
I think so. We have one more question about timing, and I am trying to get through these because I know we're getting close to the end of our shift for the night. Um, there's one about, and I don't know how much of this we can answer, Jim, without spoilers. What the in-game schedule is like before versus after the Bifrost, like how long we'll be around between embarking versus crossing the threshold in character.
I can answer that. Thursday evening is nothing but tutorials. So when you enter the ship for the first time, that will be you are stepping onto the ship. You are getting the lay of the land. You'll be working with your GM, but your GM will probably also be in character. So just as an example, I will be a political windfall reppy kind of person who will be walking CivGov around and then showing the press to their places as well. So we'll carry out those first 4 hours, that first shift, and then things will resolve for the evening. We will then make our transit safely through the Bifrost station and onto 354 PA in the morning.
I hope that answered that question. Thank you very much, Alex.
No problems
It looks
whatsoever.
like there's one asked and answered in chat, and I see a thumbs up acknowledging. So Taylor, I'm just going to skip past because I think you've got what you need. Um, in the Discord, Crow asks, is there a point at which we can safely assume we have all written information about our character, or should we be occasionally checking the Google Drive folder right up until game?
Um,
No, we don't have a date that you'll have all official materials. And in fact, there are materials that we're holding back because players, being the mischievous people they are, tend to pre-play the game when you give them too much information. There are things that we don't want revealed until the 11th hour. And so we will be doing, as we get closer, obviously we're going to start to release things a little bit less and less. And I hope that we'll get a little bit better at poking you through email or whatever preferred channel you've provided us with, just to let you know that you do have something. But yeah, checking once a week is not the worst idea.
And as we're all working on building things, we hear from each other about, okay, so I'm thinking about this, and then it creates new synergies that we weren't necessarily planning on, but they're going to be super fun to play with. And so we're evolving all of this continually until we set foot on ship.
Doesn't usually end there.
No, it does
No,
not.
it does
Actually,
not.
as I said that, I thought about how wrong it was, but I didn't stop.
So going on a continuation of character sheets, will our artifacts be given to us in a paper or physical format, or should we print them ourselves if we want a copy?
Some will be printed, especially the ones that need to be printed, like they need to be with you. I would say, as a general rule, if you can print them on your own, go ahead and do that. I mean, you can even get creative with how you want to record some of the information that you're supposed to keep. Um, we will again, we will print the stuff that's super essential, but some of the like, little notes and things like that, probably not so much.
Awesome. Chugging right along. Flashlights. Are people allowed to have flashlights?
Not only allowed, we're going to give you one. Um, just in case, the ship is not overly bright when all the lights go out, and God forbid we blow a fuse. We want to make sure that you all have it. So we're going to be providing everyone with a flashlight just from a safety standpoint. But obviously, you can feel free to use it in character um, as needed.
And it's a regular white light flashlight. So if someone wanted to get their own fancy one, white is an appropriate color.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the kind of person you want to bring just like little props and stuff like that, that's fine. We're not really gonna micromanage it.
Cool beans. Um, Speaking of props, player is wondering if there's a way to get some of the logo files for the purposes of having some of their props laser etched or things like that before game. Yes,
Private
call
messaging.
Alex.
Yep.
Fabuloso.
Yeah, I mean, we usually don't put those out to the universe. But if you need, a specific like a vector file or something like that, just tell me what you need, and I'll make sure that we get it to you.
Cool beans. And then water. You mentioned the water coolers already. We know we're trying to keep food to the mess, so that we don't make a mess. But as far as water, we'll be allowed to have a water container with us in our various locations throughout the ship.
Yep. Feel free to bring a water bottle and move around the ship with it. The water we're not going to care about, and the Edson and the museum as a whole, they're not going to care about. You brought a bottle of water with you. What they're most concerned about is making sure that food doesn't leave designated food spaces, primarily because of like rodents and things like that. They don't want insects, they don't want mice, they don't want all that kind of thing. Um,
And I think the other
which is
big no-no, because the site sometimes is used by like Boy Scouts and things like that, is bubble gum. No bubble gum places, because it winds up places it shouldn't be. We don't want that either.
I mean, while we're on the topic of no-nos, yeah, also remember alcohol is not permitted on the ship. That's not our rule, that's their rule. Usually we're fairly loose on that one in other venues, but we just can't be, particularly with the new folks that are running the museum now. Also smoking, if you're going to smoke, you have to be off the ship entirely. You cannot be on the ship, even on the deck. You need to get off of the ship, because that thing is coated in a fine layer of diesel oil, and we don't want to.
Yeah. Yep. Snacks and drinks in the bar again. There will be snacks and drinks in the mess hall.
Yep.
Yep. Sally Ride asks about meal times, and whether they should role play requesting permission to dock so they can eat, or can they eat out of game? They're asking if this player would prefer the former, to stay in game and role play permission to dock. That sounds like a great idea.
So all of the various acts are meant to have kind of a culminating point. So some sort of slowdown at the end where the overall story of the last 4 hours kind of reaches a little bit of a conclusion. And that's a fantastic time for the Sally and the Sandage folks to like, oh, okay, cool. Hey, we're gonna dock up again, Flame of Liberty, and check in and whatnot. And that also happens to be when mealtime is. If for whatever reason it's not, maybe the Sally is really, really onto something and they are out in the middle of nowhere and they just can't get back to the flame fast enough. That's fine. In that case, just go ahead and break character for long enough for you to go and take care of yourself and then head back. But for the most part, we're kind of going to leave that specifically to those ships.
Perfect. Couple more little mealtime things. Will there be coffee in the mess continuously or just at breakfast? I think we're working on that right now.
I think typically we've tried to have it there all the time.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if this is joking or not. What about in-play smoking areas? Do we have to step? That is a joke. No, don't airlock yourself. Don't smoke on the ship. Um, yep. Um, took me a minute to read the joke. I got it now. Do the uniforms come with utility belts? No. No smoking space, correct. There's a question about hot cocoa and whipped cream. Um, I think we're focusing on coffee. Um, are there any hat or facial hair restrictions? We are not going to ask players to modify their real bodies to comply with a LARP.
Better not.
Yo,
Disagree. Everyone must grow a beard for this event.
I. It seems like all of Civ Gov did.
That's true. As far as hats go, everybody, even if you're not in a uniform, everybody's going to get one of these when you sign in at the mall. We encourage people to use it as part of their overall uniform because it definitely fits. It's the Outbound logo and it looks really cool. Mars, however, you don't have this one because we just wanted to be extra. Yours is bright blue and has a really cool Alan Sandage quasar logo thing on it. So, um, we encourage people to use those hats. I know people are really into trying to tweak their uniform just a little bit and kind of make it their own. Hat's a super easy way to do that. If you wanted to wear a different hat or something, you're more than welcome to. If you wanted to add a pin, you're more than welcome to. Again, we just ask that you don't make any permanent changes to your uniform.
you're below the neck part of your uniform. Your hat's yours, right?
Say that one more time, I was sorry.
The below the neck portion of the uniform, the hat, they get to keep their hat.
Yes, you keep your hat. You also keep the t-shirt. For those of you who are going to get a uniform, you're actually going to get 3 t-shirts, and you can take those t-shirts home with you at the end. Um, there you go.
We do not want them back, please.
Elizabeth just brought up a fantastic question in the chat that I want to go ahead and answer.
Yep.
So it says, during the initial tours, will we get any info we need in the case of real life weather emergency? Absolutely, we will, because we've had real life weather emergencies on the Edson.
Very
So
rare. We're just unlucky.
yeah,
They're
no,
just very rare. They're very rare.
yep, we rolled a great character sheet and just had really bad rolls the entire time. Um, So yes, we're gonna go over emergency and all that kind of stuff, both at the mall before we get on the ship, and then also when we get there. So you'll have it in 2 places.
Fabulous. Moving on, and I'm trying to get as many of the Discord questions as well as the chat blowing up. And guys, forgive me, I'm trying to kind of keep things sorted out between what is an actual question and what is not. Help a robot girl out here.
If you guys
Tap the
move the
sign.
chat to a not channel, yeah.
Yeah. If a player wants to bring a strategic supply of iced coffee, is that something we can store in the mess?
I would say something like, oh, iced coffee.
Iced coffee.
We have 2
Very limited
refrigerators.
refrigerator space.
We have
Yes.
2 refrigerators that are available to us. The one in the mess is bigger, but that tends to be where we're also storing things for meals and snacks and things like that.
And medical.
Yes, and that's also where medical stuff was going to be stashed. There's a secondary refrigerator down in the bar, but that one's really small, and I'm sure that that's going to be filled with drinks perpetually. Um, there's really not a good spot for something like that.
We're going to prioritize people's insulin and things over iced coffee. Yep. So we can't promise coffee space, I don't think. Sorry to be a buzzkill. I am an iced coffee girl too. The same thing applies to energy drinks. Moving on.
Hang on, I have a slide for this.
Oh, please save me, Alex.
No, I have a slide for storage. Those of you who are in berthing areas, staying on the ship, one of the things that's pretty cool is that you do have access to this little storagey area kind of thing underneath your bunks in most cases. So traditional berthing, if you're a crew member or engineering or Mars or science, whatever, you're going to have something that looks more like this. A lot of the staterooms look more like on the right side, and you'll have access to various cabinets and things. So if you need storage space, you're probably going to have your own storage space. Obviously, this is not a cooler, but you do have places to put things if you need them.
Thank you so much, Alex. Okay, I think I got all the questions skimmed from the chat. We already talked about weather and how unpredictable it be at this time of year. It's springtime in the northern hemisphere. From the Discord, and this might be one we need to take offline with documents and visual aids, but we'll see how we do. Can we get a simple rundown of the level of medicine or tech that everyone in character should know about? For example, have biobeds and nanotech been around for 1, 10, 20 years? Are nice chips common public knowledge for like civilians and things like that? Inquiring people that want to talk about ethics need to know.
So that's a great thing to bring up in the world build chat. The short answer is biobeds are brand new. They're being showcased as part of this mission. And the same is true of the nice chips. Things like had tos have been around a little bit longer, so the nanotechnology has been around a little bit longer, but certainly biobeds are like state of the art, brand new. Ooh, that's fancy.
Speaking as the engineering GM, one of my projects for this weekend is making a basic, like, pretend that this is for your average preteen who wants to know about spaceships. Here is how the tech on a ship works. The major parts and how they connect. Which I think it's probably the layer of like public knowledge that everyone would be familiar with, just to give us a frame of reference so that as we are all making up our science in our science fictional world here, we're using the same framework.
Mhm.
But it's not done yet.
Fabuloso. Discord.
Yes, engineering for dummies, basically.
I love engineering. I am an engineering girl. So I dig it. Question
Very quickly, on that point related to like, I'm supposed to be an expert on this thing, but I don't know anything about this thing. Keep in mind that your GMs are with you almost all of the time in some capacity and tucked away in some corner. Don't be afraid to utilize them. You know, if you want to chat with them real quick, hey, I'm switching out of character super fast. Can we talk about how a skip drive works since I'm supposed to be a skip drive specialist so that I can then go ahead and RP this better? We are here for that kind of stuff as much as we are there to facilitate emergencies and whatnot. So don't be afraid to utilize the people who are around you.
An excellent call out. Thank you, Alex. Question about headshots and general photos. If we want to upload additional photos or updated photos, are there deadlines for that, or how do we do that?
I'm going to be completely honest. The photo option is on the badges is not doing what we want it to. Um, I I don't know how much staff has actually been utilizing the photos that were submitted. Um, I mean, if you're really, really hell-bent, you really have to have a new photo, then feel free to just contact your GM and they can get it to the people who need it. Um, I wouldn't stress about it too much. I don't know if that addresses.
I think it does. We have another question about sheets, which we've covered. And then we have, I'm going to try to summarize this one. A character history has an item for when they joined the mission. Are there specific locations that staff has in mind where our characters are being held prior to launch? So it's like military already aboard the Flame. If SevGov hanging up at some station near the Bifrost? What do dates entail as far as personal itinerary, and what sort of or onboarding would civilians be facing with such a military presence? This is a many-layered one that maybe we can cover at a high level.
Yeah, I
Um,
can hit that at a high level unless Casey wants to go ahead.
so at the outset of game, you will be officially entering character as you step on foot the ship. The in story, the Flame is currently docked at Heimdall Station and is undergoing a series of upgrades and last minute adjustments, and then the crew is being led back onto the vessel at the outset. Um, the tours are kind of meant to be a real life tour, but also an in character tour. So it's one of the few times we'll be blending a little bit of soft RP with actual instruction. Um, what I've been trying to tell my players who've reached out to me is that if I didn't give you a specific thing in your character packet, I didn't give you a specific date, do with it what you want. Um, and so you can say that you're, and always contact your GM if you have like a question that you think might breach, the backstory or what we're intending. But for the most part, we did try to leave as much of the character to be as pliable as possible because we do have a wide number of people, and your counterpart across weeks might be a very different person than you, and so setting certain dates wouldn't make sense. Adjusting them, it just becomes a lot to track. But yeah, it is mostly up to you, what you've been doing in preparation.
And that
And
actually
Alex,
answers
feel free to, sorry,
Yeah,
Alex,
the only
feel free to contradict me right now. Yep.
no, I'm not going to contradict you at all. I would just say that the only time you have to worry about the specifics is if the specifics are in your packet. If you were specifically getting off one ship and then coming onto the Flame for like on this day, like then it matters. But otherwise,
and
we're all stepping on this thing together.
and that actually answers the second half of this question really well, which is it safe to assume that anything not explicitly stated for our personality, motivation, psych profile, what have you, is free to player interpretation? 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I would also, with a grain of salt, say that anything that is expressly laid out in your your psychological profiling, if it's something that you're not real comfortable with, or you're just not sure that you want to lean into, feel free to play against type. Maybe the person just got a bad read on you. Obviously, we did put a lot of thought into those, and so we do have some things that we intend to use those personality traits as springboards onto, but also don't ever feel like you have to play a character that is not something you're comfortable with. So,
Um, the next one is a very, very different direction in the questioning, and it has to do with the interrogation mechanic. So does this have to happen under specific conditions, like in a specific room, or the target is restrained in some way, or can it happen more casually as long as the target and staff are aware?
So there are no rules about specifically where it needs to be. We don't have a designated torture room aboard the ship. The most important thing, though, is that a GM has to be present. If a GM is not present, the whole session is invalid. That's one of those very high stress, very intensive moments that we just want to make sure that we have a staff member present for. That protects both sides, make sure that nobody's feeling bullied, nobody's feeling, uncomfortable to the point where they don't want to participate. You have to have a GM present. Um, Outside of that, you could do it in the middle of the mess hall if you really wanted to, but they're torturing people, so I hope everyone else would like chip in and, hey, that's bad.
Especially the
Uh,
press.
yeah, press, get them.
Wild. Following up on the interrogation question, how much PvP should we expect with combat with NPCs? And
This is not a PvP game. Does it sometimes happen? Sure. Are there conflicts? Absolutely. Might somebody stab somebody else? I don't know why, but yeah. Um, but the crux of this game is that it is meant to be a cooperative game. You are all succeeding or failing together. We're going to do absolutely everything that we can to make sure that you do succeed, but most of that is on you guys. I mean, everybody has a role, everybody has a purpose, everybody is there with a different background, but you're all marching toward this common goal. And without getting into the obvious spoilers, I mean, there's an element of this being a survival game, and we survive together. Um, so there are mechanics in the event that PvP stuff happens, but the goal is that you should all be working together, hopefully.
On this totally
Whichever is
normal,
fine.
completely safe, simple journey, 3-hour tour,
That's
and we'll be
Milford.
back at home for dinner
Dropping the kids off at the new planet. Ta-da.
in a tank. Fabuloso. That does bring us to the end of the Discord questions. And I do believe that the Zoom questions have descended into tomfoolery as well. So I'm going to pass the mic back to any of our wonderful team members for any closing or parting thoughts that they might have before we wish everybody a fabulous night.
Anybody other than me?
Everyone, thanks for coming. We are all really excited here. Forgive us if we seem a little tired. The last 40 days before one of these things is a big crunch, and we're kind of we're just cresting that timeline. So
And
we do
life
appreciate all
is
your patience.
life is lifing for several of our folks. Along with we also we have our Mars GM is LARPing tonight. So, she couldn't be here, but let me tell you, her energy is contagious.
I hope that is true because I get home from LARP on Sunday and drive to the Edson on Tuesday.
Honey.
Healer's gotta heal.
I just wanted to say if there are any Sally Ride folks that are here and not in the forum, hey, come say hi. We'd love to see you. And just chime in there. I know a bunch of you already have. And yeah, super excited about going on this ride with you guys. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll just wrap things up by saying 30. I mean, now it's what, 33 days. I mean, we've burnt this day. We're 33
busy
days away from
numbers.
this thing. I know, I'm sorry. Um, You will get a tremendous amount of information thrown at you very, very shortly. We will make sure that you know where you need to be and all of that long before you have to really start worrying about it. The only little ask that I would throw out there into the universe is please keep in mind that we have a small staff. It's actually a little bit smaller than we intended it to be because of life things happening to some of us. So make sure that you're giving your GMs a little bit of grace when it comes to, answering questions and turnaround time and things like that. We all have real jobs in addition to this job, which for some of us takes more time than our real jobs. So,
Hi, Liz.
there's Liz. Um, I didn't hear any of that, but hey, thank you all for coming. We hope that you're as excited as we are. We've got amazing stuff that's heading your way. This is a updated game from 2019 for sure, and we can't wait to show you all the cool new stuff. So, hey, Paraspora,
Astra.
At Astra.
At Astra.
I forgot you're all muted.
He's just waiting for it.
It's just very awkwardly one after another.
All right, I'm out now. Goodbye.
Jonathan, that seems like a good place to wrap the
Oh, wait.
recording.
At Astra.
Thanks for that, Ryan. See y'all
We
soon.
play with everybody.